Should you buy an RTR? Well, let's talk about it. What's going on, guys? The RC Syndicate here, back with another video. And this question I was asked, and I thought I'd take it to a video and answer it, is in this particular day and age, should you buy an RTR? What's the whole point of buying an RTR now? And is it even cost effective to buy one nowadays? The short answer is, I say yes, but you got to ask yourself, what are we looking for? What are you trying to accomplish? And also what your budget is. So it's no kept secret that RTR prices are getting absolutely super expensive. With SCX3s upwards of $500, and I'm an Axial fanboy, 100%. Full disclosure, if you haven't noticed now, all my rigs are all Axial based. So, take it for what it is. But again, RTRs are becoming very, very expensive. So what do? Do you buy a kit? Well, I would say, yeah, you go ahead and buy a kit. But if you're like me, when I first started in the RC world, way back when, there were no kit versions, at least not for me. I didn't know what that meant. Wouldn't even know how to have built one back in the day. So you buy something like this. It's up here, let me get it for you. Hold on one second. You get something like this. This was not this particular rig, but this was my first introduction into RC rock crawling. The Axial AX10 Scorpion. Yep, this is how it all started for me, and this is how I became an Axial just fanboy. But this is how I started, with an RTR, and I loved it, competed with it and everything, and it did really, really well for what it is. But that worked back then. Let's talk about how it's going to work now. So back in the days, we had multiple classes that we could run. I ran sportsman category, which is basically like more of a basic RTR, just because I was in brushless. Didn't have dig on it, no 4-wheel steer, nothing like that, no winch, just basic RTR. That's what I ran. But nowadays, especially with Sorca, now you have scale appearances to be concerned about. You have class 1, class 2, class 3, class 0, not officially recognized by Sorca yet. So you got to ask yourself, what are you trying to do if you're trying to get into this hobby, or if you're in the market for another rig? Should you buy an RTR, or should you build one? Or a better option would be is go to a group, like I'm a part of 2 groups off of Facebook. There's guys selling stuff all the time. That's where I picked up this rig from, and let me show you what we have here. So this particular rig I picked up from a gentleman off of one of our groups, and when he had it for sale, immediately I started to see what he had here as far as the offer. I see Toyzuki. Immediately nostalgia kicks in. For those of you who are not familiar with Toyzuki, check it out. Awesome fabricator with parts, damn good competitor. So immediately nostalgia kicks in, and I'm like, man, I just gotta have it. Now, again, I'm not gonna disclose any kind of pricing or something like that, but considerably cheaper than it would have been to get an RTR, because when I bought this was an RTR. Literally the only thing I've done to this is put on these cheap wheels that I've had and these BFGs and blacked out the windows and then pinned the body. That was it. And again, substantially cheaper than would have been with an RTR. Now, it does have some things working against it. As you can see here, we still have SCX10 differentials and axles. So if you look at it, we have a huge differential right here, where nowadays SCX10 2s or even 3s, you're running portals. So we have some outdated technology, but don't dismiss it yet. Let me pop the hood. Now with the hood popped, excuse the mess, because I do run these things, you see a Toyzuki chassis. This thing is a bit of an LCG chassis, and you can see everything is laid out very, very well, considering I do have a stock XCX10 up there, and the layout of that is definitely not performance based at all. Matter of fact, if you remember, SCX10s are actually axle mounted servos. This brings it up to a chassis mounted servo. This could be considered a class 1, class 2, with modifications, something like that. You can be competitive. But let's look to see what we have. We have a 29 kg servo, Again, I run cheaper Amazon servos all the time, so I'm not even worried about that. But what do we have here? This one came with a Home Hobby ProMaster 16 turn. Also comes with, pop the hood on this thing, Hobby Wing 1080 ESC up top. That's actually my own receiver right here because I ended up putting my stuff on it. And then comes with this little winch. Little winch right here. Got a little bit of scaleness onto it. We do have metal links, all bent already. We do have also we have overdrive up front. This one did come with overdrive up front. You know, just little things like that, and just look at the layout. You know, everything nice and done, nice and clean. And when you look at it to an RTR, you know, like, it doesn't really compare. This rig has so much more to offer that I have to look past the RTR, because there's no way at the price I paid for this thing that any RTR is going to compare. There's not an RTR at that price point to be able to make that happen whatsoever. So again, to get back at the question at hand, is in this day and age, should you buy an RTR? And again, my response is still going to be yes. Even after everything I've showed you here, the answer is still going to be yes, buy an RTR if you're getting into the hobby brand new. Because what it does is offer you a platform. If I'm going to make any suggestions, I'd say get an axial SCX10 straight axle, so SCX10 2, or get a Traxxas TRX4, both great platforms. Axial preferably, that's just my bias, right? But yeah, get into it, pop a battery in, and go have fun. Absolutely. You can even make small modifications and be very, very competitive. 100%. But when you start getting into multiple classes, class 1, 2, and 3, or you have just multiple rigs, that's when you really got to look and say, okay, what am I doing here? Because you will financially put yourself in such a hole that you won't be able to get out of. And what I mean by that is when you start breaking parts, and you gotta buy parts for this one, and if you have another vehicle that breaks, then you gotta buy parts for that one, and so on and so forth. All of my rigs are all axial based. They all run relatively the same drivetrain in every single one of them. All use almost all the same parts. I do this specifically to save money. To put it on, to kind of tell you the story, is I was running my class 1. I grenaded the transmission in that class 1. Completely blew up the insides. Gone. Just everything was sheared to bits. Come home, take the transmission out of my class 3, put that in my class 1, upgraded my class 3 since I had the room to be able to kind of modify it and actually get some dig action on there. Now the class 1 has a bulletproof transmission, and the class 3 got an upgrade. That's it. Just simply move one to the other. And again, when you start getting into multiple rigs, take that into consideration. It's always cheaper to have different variations of all the same rig. They're all going to be able to drive relatively the same. And again, when it comes to parts, hell of a lot cheaper, guys. Trust me on this one. I hope that was some little bit of insight. I hope that helped out a little bit in your decision making, whether to buy RTR or buy, you know, a kit, or in my case, check out your groups, get with those guys. People always are selling rigs to upgrade, change this, that, and the other, because just like with anything, you know, trends come and go. So do these rigs. At one time, this was built to be somebody's ultimate dream. You end up selling it, I got it, and I freaking love it. So again, guys, I hope this was helpful. Guys, if it's your first time stopping in, I appreciate a like on this video. If this is something that you would like to continue to see, please hit that subscribe button. And until the next time, y'all keep it safe.